Now, when I first started getting fried, I was absolutely terrified of dealers. I wasn't about to go download Dar Cali at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday night to collect a package off a guy with a belly on. See, I have something called survival instincts, and people who easily do things like this without a second thought typically die. It's called natural selection. I've seen enough news and movies to understand things like these normally don't go too well, so it's only logical that I never chose to associate with them. Every time I wanted a bit of the devil's lettuce, I would just give my cousin or my friends a bit of cash, so the next time they wanted to get some Zaza for themselves, they would grab some for me as well. Skip forward to the present moment, you'd be surprised to know that I know the majority of the dealers in my area, and I'm actually friends with a lot of them. So, what changed me? Well, it was the fact that I accidentally became a dealer myself. How do you accidentally become a dealer? Well, let me tell you. Let's go back a couple of years. It was the summer of 2019 and I was planning on hosting a party for my birthday. We had the drinks, we had the girls, and I knew for the celebration we needed some Za. I had a couple of friends in my place already helping me organize the party, and I let them know, yo, we need some Za. One of my friends said he knew a cousin who could just run and pick it up for us, and I didn't really think too much of it. I told him, alright, cool, tell your cousin to pick it up for us, and I'll just pay him whatever it costs. So yeah, my boy called up his cousin, and we just went back to setting up the place to get it ready for the party. And around half an hour later, his cousin finally comes to my place, and this is where it gets kind of interesting, alright? I want you guys to listen. So his cousin stumbles into my place, right? He's stumbling, his eyes are red, he looks like he hasn't slept in a week, smiling, and to top it all off, this guy smells crazy like the marijuana. And instantly, I knew what was going on. You guys ever heard the term never get high on your own supply? This guy got high on my supply. It is what it is, innit? I mean, we ordered 10 grams, and if he wanted a little taste, who am I to judge? And I also gave him the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'm not the one who owns the whole weed industry. Like, he could have his own doobie as well. So I didn't really think of it too much. So this guy whips out the bag full of Za, and instantly, I could tell this is not 10 grams. This is 5 maximum. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, maybe the plug didn't have enough, so he just bought what he can. But it's cool, I could just go pick up the rest from someone else. I wasn't too stressed. So I ask him how many grams it was, and he tells me it's 10. So now I know for a fact something's gone wrong. Look, I don't know what the dealer told you, maybe he finessed you, but this is not 10 grams, and I know that for a fact. He doubles down on his claim and he says it's 10. I tell him it's not 10, but he's persistent. He keeps telling me it's 10. And out of curiosity, I asked him how much he paid for it. And this absolute bimbo says 200. And I straight up told him that he's bugging. Look, bro, we both know this ain't 10 grams. And even if it was, you're asking me 200 pounds for it. You're bugging. Nah, this has got to be a prank. And if it is, this is the shittest prank I've seen. So my friend, who's his cousin, finally comes and I explain the whole situation to him. My friend looks at the weed and he says, yo, this is not 10. Something's off. I take my friend to the side and I tell him, bro, listen, this dealer that we sent your cousin to, I've known him for years and he would never do something like this. Like, I don't want to point any fingers, bro, but your cousin's moving crazy and you gotta let him know. So my friend takes his cousin to a different room. I don't really know what was said in that room, but they came back and my friend's cousin gave me the 5 grams for free. I did tell him that I'm still happy to pay like a reasonable price for it, but he insisted. So who am I to say no to free Zaza? After his cousin went away, my friend came up to me and apologized for the whole situation, which really wasn't his fault. And I knew he was in a very uncomfortable situation between his friend and his cousin, so I told him it's cool and we went back to setting up the whole party. I mean, it was a weird experience, but I did get an idea from the whole situation. So here's where it gets interesting. So after a couple of days, I was in a whole different party and I was just in the backyard smoking up a doobie with a guy that I just met, and we were just talking and we came across the topic of the prices of the Za. I couldn't believe what I heard come out of this guy's mouth. This guy tells me that he pays £100 for a 3.5. Now, I don't know what you Americans pay for your Za, but in the UK, £100 for a 3.5 of Cali is ridiculous. Now, I was in a very unique situation. Do I tell him that his plug is absolutely finessing him and making him look like a dickhead? Or do I help him and help myself in the process? Like, I could get a 3.5 for 35, and I don't want to finesse him crazy, so I'll just take 15 and just sell him the 3.5 for 50. I mean, for a split second, I did question the whole morality of it, but then again, I already knew this guy was rich and I barely knew him. And this is exactly the same business model that dropshippers use. Knowledge. So that's what I did. I dropshipped his ass. I mean, realistically, through me, he was paying half the price and he got better Za. So if anything, I'm doing him a favor. But after a couple of months, I couldn't be asked to keep doing it, so I just gave him my plug's number. So he got Za for even cheaper and he couldn't believe it. But yeah, I guess that's the story of how I started trapping and then stopped because I got bored.